Hey everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review, and today's review is in association with JediInsider.com, your #1 news source for everything Star Wars. And for today's review, we're going to take a look at the new Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch Han Solo and Stormtrooper disguise from Hasbro. Now this figure comes packaged in the same style of packaging we've seen with all the 6-inch figures this year from Hasbro. You've got the black box, the figure's clearly displayed in the window box packaging. You've got the little character image medallion up in the top right corner, and then down below you've got the Star Wars The Black Series logo and the name of the character in blue print. And then in the background we've got that borders that looks like the Death Star lighting in blue. On the one side you can see the figure again because you've got the window, and then the other side is just blank. And then on the back we have a little bio for the character, a little image or an image of the character, Han and Luke in their Stormtrooper disguises in the Death Star computer room. And then down below some legalese and the Disney and Hasbro logos. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging. Now this figure is very similar to the look of the Stormtrooper figure, the regular Stormtrooper figure that Hasbro has previously released in this line. There are some differences, most notably with the neck, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but for the actual design of the armor and the sculpting on the armor, it is basically the same. So you've got the little black dots in the midsection, you've got the gun belt, which is separate from the figure, glued on, it's not removable. It's got the working holster here on the back, you've got the thing that sticks out on his belt, you've got the hole on his back. Same design on the helmet. Now the helmet is a bit bigger on this figure because it fits over the Han Solo head, but the actual design of the helmet itself and the paint applications are pretty much the same. You've got the blue markings on the side, the black stripe, the black eyes, the breathing apparatus. So that's all pretty much the same, just like we saw with the regular Stormtrooper. Same sculpting here on the knee with the one that's got the one leg, it's got the knee pad that covers it, and then the other one that doesn't. So again, just like I said, pretty much same sculpting on the figure as far as the Stormtrooper armor. Now there are some differences as far as like the proportions go. So first of all, this Han Solo Stormtrooper is taller than the regular Stormtrooper, and that's primarily, I think, because of the neck. But there are other differences as far as proportions. So to me, first of all, the chest area on the Han Solo figure just looks thinner. It's more sleek. It looks wider to me on the regular Stormtrooper. There's more black showing on the regular Stormtrooper between like the shoulders, and then on the Han Solo one. And even down here in the waist section, again, I think there's a little more black showing than there is with the Han Solo one. So just some minor differences between the two, but for the most part, they pretty much do look the same. Same hands. You've got the one with the kind of trigger finger pointing out. So same hands that they use for both figures, basically. Feet are pretty much the same, except on the Han Solo one they've got white on the bottom, and on the regular one they've got it's gray. Paint apps are also pretty much the same. You've just got basic white and black on this figure, other than like the little blue on his helmet. But you know, for the most part, it's just basic white and black. Now I do want to note there's a little bit of blemish on the chest of my figure. You can see some black splotches on his chest. Nothing major, and it's, you know, I'm sure just unique to my figure, but just wanted to note that. Okay, so the biggest difference between this figure and the regular Stormtrooper obviously is that the helmet is removable and it reveals Han Solo's head underneath. Now the helmet itself, it's that kind of rubber material, made with that kind of rubber material, so it's got a little bit of flexibility to it. And again, it's a bit wider because to fit over the head than the regular Stormtrooper. And then underneath is the Han Solo head, and this is basically the same Han Solo head that came with the New Hope Han Solo figure, and we'll look at that a little closer in just a moment. Now the biggest difference between the regular Stormtrooper and this figure is at the neck. Now you'll see this little collar piece that's included, and that's to hide the ball joint and the hinged ball joint that this figure has. You'll notice that the Stormtrooper figure does not have that collar piece. It's not really needed because, you know, the neck is not as exposed on that figure. Now this collar piece is a separate piece, so when you pop the head off, and you know, again, it's just attached to a ball joint, so you can pop it off, and you can see that that piece is removable, and you can see how long that joint is for the neck. So one thing you can do, I don't know how, you know, because we're getting a Luke Skywalker and Stormtrooper disguise, I don't know how big a deal it is. You know, that figure is coming out in the next wave. But if you wanted a temporary Luke and Stormtrooper disguise, you can take the head of that, like say your Luke Skywalker from the X-Wing pilot figure, and you can take that and it will pop on to this figure. So if you want, again, make it like a temporary Luke and Stormtrooper disguise, this head will work. Now this figure is taller than Luke Skywalker. You know, remember Luke's a little short for a Stormtrooper, so you know it wouldn't be quite in scale. The actual Luke and Stormtrooper disguise figure will be a bit shorter than this one, so you know it will fit scale-wise with this one. But again, if you want a temporary Luke and Stormtrooper disguise figure, that head sculpt from the X-Wing pilot figure would work on this figure. Okay, so here's a comparison of the head sculpt from the Stormtrooper Han Solo head from the Stormtrooper disguise figure, and then the Han Solo head from that A New Hope figure. And you can see it's basically the same head sculpt. A little bit difference with the paint applications between the two heads. This is the Stormtrooper disguise head, and it's, you know, got a little bit of a lighter flesh tone to it. Plus the eyes are brown as opposed to on this one. He's got blue eyes, so I guess his eyes change colors when he's in disguise. A little bit darker eyebrows on the Stormtrooper disguise one, and then the hair, you can see there's more of a wash effect in the hair for the New Hope version, and the one with the Stormtrooper disguise is basically just a brown without really any wash effect in it. But the actual sculpt itself is basically the same head sculpt. Okay, so the figure does come with one weapon. It comes with the Stormtrooper blaster like we saw with the regular Stormtrooper, and it's basically the same sculpt as that blaster. There is one minor difference. They've added a little extra paint detail. They've added this silver metallic paint in the little midsection of the rifle. On the regular Stormtrooper rifle, or the rifle that came with the regular Stormtrooper figure, that was left black. So otherwise it's the same rifle as we got with the Stormtrooper, but just that little bit added detail. Okay, so this figure stands with the helmet on. This figure stands just a little bit over 6 inches tall, and then without the helmet, this figure stands at almost exactly 6 inches tall. And as we mentioned before, you know, this Han Solo figure is taller than a little bit taller than the regular Stormtrooper figure. And then here he is next to the Han Solo, the New Hope Han Solo, and they're about the same height. You know, maybe the Stormtrooper one is a little bit taller by a hair, but for the most part they're about the same height. And then just for one more comparison, here he is next to Chewbacca, and Chewbacca is definitely taller. Articulation on this figure is about the same as with the Stormtrooper figure, maybe a little more articulation in the neck area, but otherwise it's about the same as with the Stormtrooper. So this figure does have good movement at the head. Even with the helmet on, you can turn the head left and right with or without the helmet, and then he can look down good and he can look up good. And also with the helmet, you know, he can look up good. So very good movement with the head. Now one thing I do want to note is when you have him, especially without the helmet on, when you have him looking up, that hinge joint becomes even more exposed than normal, so it looks a little bit funny. Basically the hair kind of pushes up the neck piece when you have him looking up. Now the arms are attached at the shoulders with your standard ball hinge joint. However, he's got the armor pieces on the shoulder pads, so that limits him for how much he can do his arm outward. That's about as much out as he can get his arm. He does have good rotation at the arm. He does have a bicep swivel, and then he does have the double hinged elbow, so he's got good bending at the elbow. He's got swivel hinge wrists, so he can turn his wrists, and he's got good up and down movement at the wrist. He's got the midsection joint, so he's got a little bit of a crunch, and then he's got rotation there at the midsection. Legs are attached with ball hinge joints, but again, with the armor pieces, it does kind of limit how much he can do, like the splits, and he also really can't get his arm. You can kind of do his leg forward if you turn it a little bit, so you can get his leg forward about that much, but you can't really get his leg back at all. He also has a swivel at the thigh. Then he has the double hinged knee. No waist swivel either on this figure. And he's got the double hinged knee, so he's got good bending at the knee. And then no swivel at the boot cuff or anything, but he does have ankle pivot, so he's got good movement at the ankle. And then 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I'd say the figure is pretty decent. Looks good as far as the Stormtrooper goes. The head sculpt, you know, is again the same as with that New Hope Han Solo, and as I said in the review for that one, I don't think it's dead on to Harrison Ford, but it's not horrible either. Overall, you know, personally, I'm not a huge fan of this figure as far as the actual character choice. I just can't say I've really been dying to have a Han Solo or Luke Skywalker in Stormtrooper disguise in 6-inch scale. There's other Han Solos I'd rather see, like a Bespin Han. You know, I'm not sure this line really deserves to have every single character, you know, variation of the character. It just, you know, at $20 or plus a pop, you know, certain characters I could kind of do without. Now, if you feel differently, if you've been looking forward to these characters in their Stormtrooper disguises, then I think this is definitely a figure you will want to add to your collection. And I guess also the other benefit is, you know, with the helmet on it, it does, you know, you can use it as a Stormtrooper for your army as well, so it can be an army builder figure as well. So that's an extra plus for it. It's just for me personally, I just, you know, like I said, I could do without these particular versions of these characters in this scale, but that's just my personal opinion. So this figure is hitting shelves now, so if you do want to add it to your collection, start checking any of the stores that sell 6-inch black figures. It's also available online at places like Big Bad Toy Store. We do have a gallery of images of this figure up at JediInsider.com. There's a link in the description below for that if you want to check that out. And as always, we ask, you know, please leave a comment, let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you later.